Good morning, guys. I feel so sick. I feel like I have anxiety. I slept really long. I slept till noon. Um, like had zero strength when I woke up. I know that there was like a lot of stuff going on all night. I wasn't aware of all of it, but I think it was mainly live demonstrations of how we drop to level one as a family and how to not drop to level one as a family. Um, that's sort of what I remember. Um, and I mean, I'm pretty sure there's an easy solution to that. Gigi might be able to help you with that. You know, maybe things other than 3D are allowed. Um, I don't know. Maybe. Um, I definitely felt like people are getting sick in the background, and it's starting to come through me a little bit. Like people are getting sick. There was like a lot of fighting last night, which makes me incredibly tired and makes me sleep very long hours. A lot of fighting back and forth. Like I said, live demonstrations on how the entire world will drop to level one if you continue to disagree with me and go against your own will, because there's only one will in the universe. And if you insist in having a ball or a Cinderella type situation over and over and over again, where I'm not agreeing to play Cinderella, and I've said that many times. You come over here. Come on. Fresh has been a little nervous lately and been sleeping in. He slept in bed with me a little bit last night, but then he was fine to sleep in his bed. He's been cuddling. His eye is pretty much fine. You can see how he's like closing it a little bit right now, but it's been pretty much open. So I think it's just maybe allergies, a little bit of allergies. Thank you to all of the vets who are listening in and are treating Mr. Fresh over walls. I do believe myself. I think he's doing it to be like, maybe I need some more, please, because he hasn't done that. He didn't do that all day yesterday, really, and today he was totally fine this morning. So I think he's saying it's working. He's the best, isn't he? The best. He's the best boy. He's the best boy. I love him. I love him. Yes, you. Fresh isn't gonna let me post today, huh? Thank you. I mean, because when does Fresh come in for when I'm posting? He doesn't really do this, so he's definitely nervous. Oh, he's so squishy. He's the squishiest baby. He's a squishy baby. He's so squishy. He's so squishy. Um, I had a ghostly experience last night where a 70s mom walked into the living room and she was very mechanical. Like she was like very mechanical, like that, like very mechanical. And then she had a baby and then I was screaming, "Stop her, stop her." And one of me was saying she's going to start Last of Us, and the other one was saying she's going to stop Last of Us. And I don't know. I have no idea what was going on in that scene. It was some type of awareness that I'm not aware of yet, basically. And he's very warm lately. His body is like warm. Um, I heard some of the fighting last night. I didn't hear all of it, but like I said, like because you guys were fighting, I think that's why there was the live demonstrations of 1D and how if we drop to 1D, it will cause the extraterrestrial bug invasion, lots of itchiness, lots of my skin has been feeling very itchy to the touch before I go to bed lately. So I think that's the beginning of dropping to 1D and filling in 1D. And it's an indication of where we're at as a collective. Um, it's like it starts off mild, it starts off subtly, the itchiness before bed, and then eventually it subsides and you fall asleep. And it becomes completely overwhelming as the demonic invasion revs up. And you just literally can't sleep because your skin is just so itchy. Um, you'll stay awake for hours just like having your skin be itchy, itchy, itchy. And it's part of the demonic invasion, part of the extraterrestrial bug invasion, Deep Space Nine invasion. Again, that happens from going against your own will. There's only one in the universe, that's me. And my you is filling in, and apparently she's terrifying. She has more codes than me. So a lot of times when they have more codes than me, some of their codes are like out of line. And that's sort of why I have to catch them and energy transform them into myself because maybe they're way too terrifying and they're not supposed to be that terrifying. I mean, that's usually how it works. I don't really know about my you, but I think she's me from like 1999, which is obviously a long time ago. Party Like It's 1999. Did the world end in 1999? I had red hair. I had short red hair, I think. Yeah, I think I had short red hair. And I was in college at that time. And I sort of had like a 70s look. I would wear like one of those sweaters that would tie in the middle and have a gigantic collar. And I'd wear very tight Miss 60 jeans with a well, that was after 1999 actually. That's when I was in California in 2000. So, I mean, it's pretty close. That I would wear Miss 60 jeans with a bell at the bottom. They were very tight jeans that were like $120, $150 at the time, which is a crazy amount for me to spend on jeans back then. But I worked at a store, and so I think we got it like 40% off or something like that. And I had like, I don't know, I had like 10 pairs of them. Um, and that was when one of the girls that I worked with at the store went to school with, I forget her name, but the girl from that 70s show, the girl with black hair, not Donna, but the other one, Mila Mila Kunitz. She went to high school with her, and she was like, she just booked this show, that 70s show, and now she's going to be famous. And that's when I moved to California. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, you go to school with somebody, they audition for something. Of course, it's LA, it's California. And then, like, one night they go from like nothing to like overnight fame from being discovered on a show. And I remember that like moment so clearly. And like, it was like with my friend at the store. Um, and like she was amazed by it too. Like, we were all amazed by it. They're like, wow, now she's famous. That's crazy. And yeah, so I wear like the 70s sweater with the tie in the middle and like the multicolored sweater and the Miss 60s jeans and like usually like a tight wife beater underneath of all different kinds of wife beaters or a t-shirt or something like that. And that was my outfit. And then these Steve Madden boots that went up to my knees and they had like um, a big heel. So it was like it was like a lift. It was like a heel, but it was like a very 70s looking outfit that I wore. And I broke my toe in those boots at a party one time because I literally jumped down a flight of stairs in those boots and I broke my toe doing that. And we might have went to the emergency room too. I think we went to the emergency room at UCLA because I was like, I can't walk, guys. And so we went to the emergency room. It was the first time I ever broke my toe, as I have a tendency to break my toes. But I think that was the first time I ever did in my life. And so I didn't know this at the time. So we went to the emergency room. Obviously, my friends didn't know that either. And they were like, there's nothing we can do for a broken toe. It just heals by itself. And so like we went to the emergency room and that's what they told us there. And I was like, oh, okay. So it just like heals by itself. And you just like, they're like, yeah, just take like Advil or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. um, but yeah, I decided to jump down a flight of stairs at a party in big old clunky heels. Um, I was probably like 21 or something when that happened. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I totally remember watching like that 70s show and being like, that's my friend's friend. That's crazy. I worked at this store called Planet Blue, and I was a sales associate. and I got scouted for Playboy magazine there. And obviously, I turned it down. But I definitely got scouted for Playboy magazine there from a Playboy playmate. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty. Um, do you want to come audition, for the magazine? We might have to do something about your boobs because I had very small boobs." Um, and I was like, "Where am I going to get money for my boobs?" Um, and she's like, "It doesn't really matter. You can just come to the parties if you want." And I ended up turning it down, I think, because my friends were all like, "Don't do it, Alyssa. Don't you dare do it." Me being the free spirited person that I was like, "Yeah, I'll fucking do it." But all my friends were like, "Don't do it, Alyssa. Don't do it." And I was like, "Okay, fine." Um, what else happened last night? So anyway, that was a weird occurrence, and then there was souls walking down the stairs last night in my house, like in Poltergeist when the souls walk down the stairs. So that was happening last night. The souls were walking down the stairs. There was like another dream in the middle of the night that I literally forget now, but I remembered at the time. I don't know. I was like trying on clothes in my dream. I remember just trying on clothes, but I remember there was like something. They're discussing opening up the gates with people out of line, and it's terrifying us, I guess. I'm always for opening up the gates. I saw that the gates are open. We're mainly being guided by Saturn right now, but then it's sort of like Saturn dissipates, which is like a bright pink sky, and then Saturn dissipates, and then it goes to like a bright orange sky. So it's like it goes from Saturn to Mars, um, and you can like see it if you look, you can see the like bright pink sky, and then it dissipates, and then it goes to like a Mars sky, like an orange sky. So I want to say the gates are definitely partially opened right now. Obviously, it doesn't look like it because the sky looks regular blue, and I'm partially in a coma right now. So, um, but I felt like so much anxiety as soon as I woke up, and I was like, okay, people are definitely getting sick in the background from all of the lies. If you lie to us, we get so sick because you're not allowed to lie to us in our own video game. And it makes us so sick because we have to clear out the parasites um, in the group chat. And I mean, obviously, wouldn't zombies be considered in line? I don't know. Did you say your posh? Um, what else was happening yesterday? I think the game kept resetting yesterday. My father, Colin, kept going onto the loudspeaker yesterday, and that's probably what was tiring me out. He's like, we don't care about your license or your job or, you know, any of this stuff. Like, it's all been taken care of for her. Um, you know, is basically what he was saying. And I think he was like coming off as like Gamork, as the nothing, and basically just being like, um, I just want her out and I just want her safe. Um, you know, um, like, I guess there was like a lot of people trying to scare me still yesterday or whatever. And that's like definitely one way to really piss off my father is to just keep threatening me with false threats and in a 3D format when you're surrounded by space at all times. And my space father's obviously had enough and he is Gamork a lot of the times. And he'll do what he has to do to make me safe on this planet or out of this planet. And it's like, how many times does he have to say that, to just humanity in general? The White House released a really good document that another Starseed posted, and the government's definitely in on it. Let's see where it is. Is it here? Okay, so the White House released a document that said advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. ... Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter, then making it harder and harder to build. Okay, are we talking about the same thing here? Are we talking about tiny housing communities? And are we all in on it? We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. And this is from the White House. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. So the White House is confirming that it is in alliance with space, a space alliance. It has a space alliance, and it is not alone in a 3D narrative. And I commend the White House for releasing this document to the public. And sorry, because I'm sounding facetious. I'm laughing at myself because I sound facetious, and I'm not facetious. being genuine. Um, this is a very, obviously they have the CIA documents about space. They have so many documents about space. Obviously, the government's in on it. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. Okay. That means that they are in on it and they're working together with us. Well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 70s. Okay. It was well-intentioned. It became an ever tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter, then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. And I couldn't agree more with this statement. Okay. So there's a few different narratives with my husband's and this house. One was Leo, when I married Leo and I had an art gallery. I already explained some of that timeline. But when I married Leo, we bought this house because Leo and I are into the same things. We're into like Victorian, we're into like revising old Victorian houses to like their original um, look. And that was why Leo and I bought this house. I think we bought all three of these houses, to be honest with you, and to make them all their original Victorian splendor because we're really into that. And I think I've talked about that a few times. And we did that on the timeline where I'm married to Leo. And we might have started with this house, but anyway. So we bought this house. We gave my parents top dollar to move out. We gave them a nest egg. Obviously, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. You know what I mean? Like we set them, we retired them. We retired my parents and restored this Victorian house to its previous glory. And that's what happened on that timeline. And then on Hayden's timeline, it's a little different, where I married Hayden. We bought this house, same sort of thing, gave them extra money so they could retire and blah, blah, blah. But it was more out of a necessity, a need to get out of Hollywood because Hollywood became so perverse on that timeline and so intense and just awful to stand. Hayden and I couldn't stand it. So we bought this house to get out of Hollywood. So it was a completely different narrative as to why we bought this house. And we renovated this house and we lived in this house. But it was to get out of Hollywood, which became extremely perverse and horrible to live in, and either of us could take it anymore. And there's another one. Oh, Chris Evans. Chris Evans, we didn't buy this house on Chris Evans' timeline. We didn't buy this house. They still live here, everything like that. I live in Boston with Chris Evans in, I think, the same house that he lives in now. But we were wondering about that. Maybe it's a different house that me and Chris bought together. But I live in Boston with Chris on that timeline, and this house is still owned by my parents, and obviously we visit and everything like that. So those are three different timelines. I guess we didn't feel the need to buy this house because Chris lives on the East Coast as well, and it's like sort of like the East Coast becomes like a refuge or something like that for like Hollywood people, like to get out of it. And I guess the East Coast people get used to seeing a couple celebrities like walk around, and since we grew up here. um, then there's another timeline where we build a housing, like a small housing community in the backyard to home me and my siblings. And that's a really sad timeline, um, where the world loses it. The world really loses it. And this house becomes an oasis. And it's like no place is safe really. So my dad builds an oasis here, and he builds tiny houses for us in the backyard because it's just so unsafe. The world just loses it. Um, and it's like, obviously, that's like a really sad timeline that no, basically no place on earth is like kind of safe anymore. And that my dad has to build like an oasis for his kids. Um, and I want to say that one's aligned with Saturn. That one's aligned with the planet Saturn timeline. I mean, I mean, like asking like your dad, like, does she have the power to say that? Like, is she allowed to say that? Like, all of that is fighting your own will. And it's like the start of that really sad timeline where the world just becomes unable to be around. If you keep saying stuff like that to your dad, that is probably aware of what you're saying to him over the princess's will. And probably can't believe how, you know, he probably can't believe it himself. And he's just like, wow, these girls are really literally insane, asking over the princess's will. Like, clearly she can do what she wants. I don't know why you're asking me. And think, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really a moment of clarity. It's sort of like you're playing yourself.